simp, not a simp. A simp, not a simp. A simp, not a simp. We eat so many shrimp. I got iodine partners.
My bitch a choosing lover, never fuck without a rubber. Never in the sheets like it on top of the cover. Money on the dresser, drive a compressor. Top notch hoes get the most, not the lesser. Trash like the fuck for $40 in the club. Fucking up the game, bitch, it gets no love. She be cross country, giving all that she got. 1,000 a pop, I'm pulling business off the lot. I smashed up the gray one, bought me a red. Every time we hit the parking lot, we turn head. Some hoes wanna choose, but them bitches too scary. Your bitch chose me, you ain't a pimp, you a fairy.
A simp, not a simp. A simp, not a simp. A simp, not a simp. We eat so many shrimp. I got iodine partners.
Baby, you been rolling solo, time to get down with the team. The grass is greener on that other side. If you know what I mean, I show you shit you never seen. The 7 wonders of the world. And I can make you the 8 if you wanna be my girl. I say my girl, I don't mean my woman, that ain't my style. Need a real street stalker, walk a green mile. I'm piling up the paper on the dining room table, cause you able to realize I'm the truth and not a fable. Baby, rockin' Russian sable, keep that chiller on the rack. What I look like with some $1,000 shit up on my back. I'm $1 million man, they need $1 billion bitch. Put my pimpin' in your life, watch your daddy get rich. Easy as ABC, simple as 1, 2, 3. Get down with UGK, Pimp CBU with B. Cause what's a hoe with no pimp, and what's a pimp with no hoe? Don't be a lame, you know the game and how it goes. We try to get toes.
A simp, not a simp. A simp, not a simp. A simp, not a simp. We eat so many shrimp. I got iodine partners.
Oh. Uh-oh. You guys can hear me, right? Yeah, you should be able to. Oh, hi. Hi. It is already a Artist Corporate Fiction. How you guys doing? Welcome. So, Born to Be Free, good to see you. Hang on, let me put on. What's up, Celine? Where's the... Oop, sorry. Oh my gosh. That's way loud. Way too loud. Okay, there we go. Anyway, so many of you guys know who Brandon Joe Williams is. If you don't know, I'll give you the quick rundown. He is a fairly well-known guru in the sovereign community. Has a pretty strong following, pretty strong group. Lots of claims to victories, that's for sure. I actually covered him about a year ago. I think back then he actually commented and said, asked me if I wanted to debate. I could have sworn I said yes. I mean, I always love to debate these guys. I'll never turn it down. But I guess it fell by the wayside. So, here we are. And Mr. Born to Be Free sent me an email with 2 videos claiming to be a successful lawsuit by a sovereign. One of them, it's by this one individual, and then in one of the videos, this individual was interviewed by Mr. Williams, and that's when I'm like, I kind of skimmed through it, and of course, the case apparently went to arbitration, and apparently they're under an NDA that they can't provide the court order or the a copy of the agreement in which this guy supposedly won. Okay, gotcha. Hey, welcome, Raiders. Welcome. We're going to go through a certain sovereign citizen guru today. Welcome, guys. And so I made a comment on there. And again, he actually responded to me asking to debate. I said yes. He said, okay. I then tried to, and then I also made comments on another video, this one right here, on this is his 10 minutes right to travel video. And I made a comment on that too. And in this one, I also accepted a debate. He did not. I tried to put in my email address for him. It wouldn't go through for one reason or another. I'm giving him I was going to give him the benefit and say that it's probably YouTube flagging my comment as like spam, because it tends to do that if there's links in the comment section. But then Mr. Williams reached out to me on Instagram. I have an Instagram account, Artrixis Lives, and he asked if we could set up a day for a debate on there. I responded, yes, of course. No, Brendan, here's the thing. Born to Be Free. Let me finish. Hey, what's up? Kurt, how you doing, man? Uncivil law. If you want a LARP as a SovCit, or I can LARP as a SovCit, I think it'd be great entertainment. No, we have not talked to each other on email. I only have talked to each other on Instagram. I said yes, and then I also added. I tried to put a comment in YouTube, but I think it's flagging it spam. That was about an hour ago. He then posts a story on Instagram claiming that I have blocked him from all social media and that I'm backing out of a debate with him. So I think ultimately, I called his bluff. I don't think this guy really wants to debate me. And I think he wants to save face for his audience. That he doesn't actually want to go up against somebody who knows what they're talking about and knows that he can make him look like a fool. And he knows that that's bad for business. So I'm going to show you the evidence here. No, he blocked you and said that you did. He pulled the Uno reverse card. Yeah. Okay. Let me show this. You could. We'll touch base on that. Okay, Kurt. I think it'd be a great idea. Okay, let me go here. Let's go to the second source here. All right, I posted this on my Discord. If you're not a member of my Discord, go for it. It's good times, fun times. So this is our DM conversation. He reached out to me, say, "Hey Artie, this is Brandon Joe Williams. I would like to set up our debate. Can you speak here?" Yes. I tried putting in my email address in the comments, but I assume YouTube is marking them as spam. That was over an hour ago. Next. This is what he posted in an Instagram story. Artie has blocked me. This is an hour ago. Artie has blocked me for commenting on his stuff. I have not. And I just blocked him on my platform because I'm not looking to waste my time on his generic comments. What I want is an intense, no-hold-barred, bloody deathmatch of a live video debate. I want it to be until one man is standing. No prisoners, no scorecards, a fight to the verbal death. I want to be literally covered in his proverbial blood. Wait, what? How can you literally want to be covered in my proverbial blood? Isn't that a contradictory statement? Unless, of course, now he's too scared and would like to back out. I have said no such thing about backing out. If you guys can please go and tell him that I just messaged him on Instagram, Artie's Corporate Fiction, I would appreciate it. I did. He has not responded. You know what? I'm gonna respond again. Yeah. He's active 1 hour ago. So I don't think he's haven't even bothered to look at his Instagram. So I'm assuming, so basically he's lying. I never backed out, ever. I never denied wanting to do a debate. And I think he's just placating to his audience. So, too bad, so sad. Sucks to suck. So instead, we'll go ahead and instead of going through that other Guru Madness, we can talk about his driving versus traveling. It's only 10 minutes long, so it's not it's not going to be that painful. Sakure, thank you for the 29 months, man. I appreciate it. It's all good.
Hello there, my name is Brandon Joe Williams. I'm a trustee of Williams & Williams Law Group. And
also, I think it's absolutely wild that he considers himself a law group and that he hasn't been reported yet. That's kind of wild to me.
Today, I'm going to be talking about driving versus traveling. I'm going to try to break this down into like a 10-minute micro video for shareability online and that kind of thing. If you want to see the full article on this, I'm only going to do part of the article on this, or part of the page. You're going to go to williamsandwilliamslawfirm.com, and then you're going to click on Driving v. Traveling, and this page will pop up, and you can read it. Or, if you scroll down, you'll see I have a video here of a presentation that I gave on a show. I may replace this with a different show if I ever do that kind of presentation again, but it's a long, I think it's like a 2.5 hour presentation on an actual show that I did. So if you'd rather see more of like a demonstration of me talking about it and showing it, click.
Another reason I feel like TikTok needs to be banned off the face of this planet is people who do this format of commentary with the green background that you can't see what they're talking about, and because they can't sit still and they're blocking half the picture of what they're trying to tell you about it. It's so stupid and asinine. Sorry, pet peeve.
Here, or you can just read this page. With that said, let's get started. So obviously we have two sides of this argument or equation or whatever you want to call it. We've got the idea that registration, license, and proof of insurance is required to operate a motor vehicle on public roads, which is true under certain circumstances. And then we also have the idea that we aren't driving commercially, we're traveling non-commercially, which the U.S. Supreme Court has already established we have the right to do. That's also correct under certain...
No. The Supreme Court...
Traveling non-commercial...
That's incorrect. Okay, sorry. I just finished my workout, and so I'm actually kind of tired. So, this is incorrect. He does not cite the Supreme Court at all, which supports this narrative that you're allowed to freely drive, presumably without a driver's license, unless it's for commercial purposes. This is incorrect.
Commercially, which the U.S. Supreme Court has already established we have the right to do. That's also correct under certain circumstances. So what I want to do is really get down to the nitty-gritties as to how all this stuff works.
All right, let's go.
First and foremost, the most important thing we need to cover is the Commerce Clause. Commerce Clause is Article 1, Section 8 of the U.S. Constitution. The Congress shall have power to regulate commerce with foreign nations and among the several states and with Indian tribes. 3 things. You got to memorize those 3 things. When it comes to the Commerce Clause, Congress has what's called plenary power only over areas that are under the Commerce Clause. Plenary power is defined as complete power over a particular area with no limitations. This term is often used to describe the commerce power of Congress. Under the Commerce Clause, Congress is granted full power over interstate commerce. The court has found that states are not able to pass laws affecting interstate commerce.
So this is generally correct, but it's also why we have a federal Department of Transportation. But he's going to lie to you. He's going to lie to you later on. But the Department of Transportation only deals with certain regulations on vehicles in terms of how they're built, safety standards, etc. But and also they has regulation over. It also has a lot heavier regulation over commercial vehicles. But states still have their own power to issue commercial driver's licenses, and as well as non-commercial driver's licenses. Deacon, thank you for the 10 gift memberships. I appreciate it. If you ask a sovereign citizen guru why those states offer commercial and non-commercial driver's licenses, they'll never ever give you an answer. Although this guy might. He's got his flavor of sovereign citizenry is I don't want to say it's unique, but it's unorthodox, I guess is the best way of saying it.
Commerce without the permission of Congress. That's why it's like this, right? So again, you got the 3 different sections of the Commerce Clause: commerce with foreign nations, commerce among the several states, which means interstate commerce, and then commerce with Indian tribes. You have to memorize these 3 things. It's so important, not just here, but everywhere.
Not necessarily, no.
Most important thing when it comes to driving versus traveling argument or concern or whatever you want to call it is the difference between state citizenship and U.S. citizenship, right?
All right, here we go.
U.S. citizens do not have the right to drive or the right to travel. So both sides are wrong because a lot.
This is actually what? So the Supreme Court of the United States has indicated that all U.S. citizens have the right to travel, as in travel interstate. They, as well as be able to, leave the country for one reason or another. Doesn't say anything about driver's licenses. Doesn't say it doesn't mean that the states cannot regulate the mode of travel. I mean, there's a reason why the feds heavily regulate the FAA.
A lot of people on the sovereign side of the equation are like,
"Oh, hey, thank you for the super sticker."
citizen, I have rights. You don't. So both sides are wrong. U.S. citizens do not have the right to drive or travel, and we're going to talk about the difference between those two terms. State citizens have the right to travel, and they also have the right to drive until it starts to become something that has to do with foreign nations, interstate commerce, or Indian tribes. So if it's a California state citizen, which has to be a white person to be a state citizen, I have another video on that, and then you can also go to my...
Yeah, you didn't mishear that. According to this guy, only white people can be state citizens. And all black people, or basically all non-white people, are U.S. citizens. Yeah.
My website and go to a treatise on the word person, and you can see a massive breakdown of the building out and all the evidence behind state citizenship versus U.S. citizenship. State citizenship is the original American citizenship. It's for white people only.
So the problem that I'm going to have with this guy, other than that, this guy's whole basis for this separation between state citizen and federal citizen and white and non-white, he's basing it off of Dred Scott, which was overturned by the 14th Amendment. But he doesn't act as though the 14th Amendment overturned Dred Scott, mainly because he tries to cite to a California Supreme Court case. This is actually another video that we'll take a look at. It's kind of it's bullshit, because ultimately the courts have repeatedly said that all persons born or naturalized in the United States are as interpreted in the 14th Amendment include everyone, all persons. But the foundation for his whole ideology stems on his interpretation as to what a person is. To him, according to him, a person is anybody who's not white, and therefore they're lesser than people, which he defines as white. The problem that he has is that if we're going off of that, and if he's trying to rely on the historical basis of interpretation of those terms, he needs to reconcile with the fact that the definition of white in the 1850s and 60s is not the same as what we would define white to be. A white person in the 1850s and 60s did not include Italians, Greeks, Czech, God forbid, the Irish. Yeah. So I wonder if he's done a 23andMe on himself, maybe, but we'll see. But yes, like anybody from Central or Eastern Europe. I mean, Germans might make the cut, I think, at that point. Maybe. I'm not sure. The Dutch and Anglo-Saxons. So, oh, yeah, Jewish people also not part of it either. But yes. So, if he's going to rely on these historical terminology in terms of defining person, has he talked to his audience about how it's not just white people? It's going to be white people is going to be defined as, like, I think maybe five nationalities, period. And that's it. But
U.S. citizen category is for every other race, such as the black people, such as Mexicans, everything else. That's what the U.S. citizens are. And you can say I'm crazy, but go to the treatise on the word person. You'll see I've got all the evidence laid out for you, right? So U.S. citizens do not have the right to drive or travel. State citizens have the right to travel and drive as long as they aren't getting involved in the Commerce Clause. So a California state citizen like me, a white guy, can perform commercially as long as I'm not going over state lines, dealing with foreign nations, or having to do with Indian tribes. And that's this section here. We're not going to get into it any more than that right now. It's way too much to do on this video. So here, we'll go right into driver's licenses, okay? So how would I define a driver's license? The primary contract that establishes your activities is falling under one or more of the 3 points of the Commerce Clause. This is done by establishing that you are a U.S. citizen or resident foreigner, which is called a resident alien of a state. A resident alien is somebody who just, they're not a U.S. citizen or a state citizen, but they're here. They have some foreign allegiance, right? Which would be point number 1 of the Commerce Clause, and or that you are engaged in commercial activity between state lines, would be point 2 of the Commerce Clause, right? I'm not going to get into this too much more. I think you should just come on here and read it if you want to see more, right? But to understand
no, I'm good.
the word driver, the first thing we need to look up is the definition of transportation. The Department of Transportation. That's the department that deals with all of this stuff. The DMV is underneath the DOT. So how do we determine this? The removal of goods or persons from one place to another.
So he's citing Railroad Company versus Pratt, 22 Wall 133. But by virtue of it, the citation be 22 Wall 133, you're basically giving it away that this case is from like the 1800s. Again, that's not how words work. Words can change their meaning over time. And laws can also be changed in terms of their definitions. But, I mean, he's already said so many things that are wrong. So, like, so look at this bold point. The primary contract that establishes your activities as falling under one or more of the 3 points of the Commerce Clause. This is done by establishing that you are a U.S. citizen or a resident foreigner of a state, which would be point 1 of the Commerce Clause, and or that you are engaged in commercial activity in between state lines, which would be point 2 of the Commerce Clause.
To another by a carrier. Now let's look at the definition of the word carrier. Carriers are either common.
This is what he's doing. What he's doing right now is what every single sovereign citizen does. They cherry pick a definition that's probably not interpreted the same way as it is today. Then further goes down the rabbit hole of defining a further term within that incorrect interpretation to another incorrect interpretation to further muddy the waters and bolster his argument that only commercial activity can be regulated.
Or private. Common carriers are those that hold themselves out to undertake or carry persons or goods of all persons indifferently, or of those who choose to employ it, or those whose occupation or business is transportation of persons or things for hire or reward. Common carriers of passengers are those that, and I can't even read it because the thing's in the way, undertake to carry persons indifferently who may apply. So it's very simple as far as I'm concerned. A common carrier is a whore. Let's just be simple. It's a hoe. They'll take.
All right, that's certainly an analogy or metaphor.
Anyone, but again, keep in mind this is all commercial, persons, property, or cargo. But it's very specific. We have to get into common carrier versus private carrier. So,
yes, he does,
so
Uncle
private
Dan.
carriers are those who transport or undertake to transport in a particular instance for hire or reward, right? So the thing is that the difference between a common carrier and a private carrier, a private motor carrier, is basically when are they doing commerce? One is doing commerce all the time, and the other one is doing commerce only part of the time, but you realize they're both still commerce. And then we start getting into driver. There's a lot of different definitions and stuff like that. But when you start getting into the Motor Carrier Act jurisdiction, it's an individual who drives a motor vehicle in transportation, which is within the meaning of the Motor Carrier Act in interstate.
So right here is the switcheroo. This is the trick. He's utilizing the definition of driver under the Code of Federal Regulations. As you know, the feds have wide latitude in regulating commercial activity, interstate commercial activity when it comes to transportation. Not for private individuals who are going from A to B, point A to point B. But so this is where he's trying to assert that driver is somebody who's employed in commercial activity. Well, under the feds, that would be correct, because the feds only have jurisdiction and regulation when it comes to commercial activity.
Foreign commerce. Again, it's got to be under the Commerce Clause. So all the word transportation,
They go to $5.
literally in itself, by itself, means commerce. And then now we're breaking down the different types of commerce and the different meanings of commerce and stuff like that. Now, the next section we have to get into, I don't have a lot of time, so I can't cover these subjects in a whole lot of detail, so I'm already 7 minutes in, is the manufacturer certificate of origin in comparison to a...
So I don't know why he goes off on this tangent talking about the certificate of origin. It doesn't really go into his argument between traveling and driving.
Certificate of title, right? So the MCO is the actual title on the vehicle, and I'll show you one. This is what it looks like, and this is the document that comes straight from the dealership when you buy a brand new car or something like that. This is the actual title, and you can even read on the back, it says that there's no other security interest or anything. You have to send this in to the state in order to get a certificate of title. This is a certificate of title, the pink slip, right? And we're going to get into how this splits ownership into two different categories, okay? So when you have an MCO, the original ownership document, you're the...
Yeah, I'm sorry. I already watched this. This doesn't have anything to do with driver versus traveler. It's only about his claims about whether or not the state can regulate your vehicle. And that if you don't have the manufacturer's certificate of origin, then the state can regulate you. But if you have that, then you are the true legal and equitable owner of your vehicle, and therefore the state cannot, like, regulate you. It's stupid. Going through his other video, this one, he goes a little bit deeper into the person thing, which I kind of want to break down because he cites a case incorrectly.
Hello there, my name is Brandon Joe Williams, and I'm a trustee of Williams & Williams Law Group. You can find us at www.williamsandwilliamslawfirm.com. There's a page on there that I've done that's quite extensive, and I'm going to be showing you in less than 10 minutes how to get rid of your driver's license, how to not pay taxes ever again, etc. It's called A Treatise on the Word Person. And the last time I updated it here, you can see, was 7/9/25. And if you want more information, I also have, you'll see in this important notes section, if you come on the website, there's also a link to a live demonstration of a live talk of me talking about a lot of this information. But this is just going to be a 10-minute video, so we're only going to be able to cover some of the most important points. So if you want to get a full breakdown of everything, please go to williamsandwilliamslawfirm.com and click on A Treatise on the Word Person. With that said, the first thing we need to figure out is we need to talk about this case called Dred Scott versus Sanford, right? Because I'm going to prove to you there's two types of citizenship And one of them is where you want to be, but that's not where you are. That's what we're going to get to with this, right? So in Dred Scott versus Sanford,
I don't know why. Well, I do know why. I mean, I'm being, I'm being facetious. Is that facetious? Rhetorical. I'm being rhetorical. I do know why he's citing Dred Scott, even though Dred Scott has been, again, it's overturned by virtue of the 14th Amendment, passage. But okay.
we have the fifth Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. His name is Roger B. Taney. And here's a photo of your boy, Roger B. Taney. This is the guy who's going to be giving this opinion we're going to talk about here right now. So in relation to Dred Scott, who was an emancipated slave, right? He's talking about here the words people of the United States and citizens are synonymous terms and mean the same thing. They both describe the political body who, according to our Republican institution...
Deacon, thank you for the $5. I only like double chin men that know what they're talking about. Based.
...form the sovereignty, and who hold the power and conduct the government through their representatives. They are what we familiarly call the sovereign people, and every citizen is one of this people and a constituent member of this sovereignty. And he says here, the question before...
He thinks he's a lawyer or a legal advocate or whatever the hell he wants to call him, but he's not a bar card member. That he uses that that name derisively.
For us is whether the class of persons...
Arian Rod, thank you for the 5 gift memberships.
...described in the plea and abatement compose a portion of this people and are constituent members of this sovereignty. We think they are not, and that they are not included and were not intended to be included under the word citizens in the Constitution, and can therefore claim none of the rights and privileges which that instrument provides for and secures to citizens of the United States. On the contrary, they were at that time considered as a subordinate and inferior class of beings who had been subjugated by the dominant race, and whether emancipated or not, yet remained subject to their authority and had no rights or privileges but such as those who held the power and the government might choose to grant them. So you can see what Mr. Taney's talking about. We have the preamble of the U.S. Constitution. The very beginning of it is, we the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, blah, 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 blah. We the people. Then we have in Article 1, Section 9, Clause 1.
All right. So this is where he tries to make this distinction between persons and U.S. citizens. I mean, number one, he's citing Dred Scott as a foundation in distinguishing a person's, what persons are. And he's relying on Dred Scott as in terms of his interpretation, where Dred Scott interprets person as meaning white people. Again, white people as in Anglo-Saxons and Dutch, maybe the Germans, we'll see, and I don't know, maybe the French, and no others. But Dred Scott was overturned by the 14th Amendment, and
this is talking about restrictions on the slave trade. This comes from the Constitution, by the way. The migration or importation of such persons. People say Roger B. Taney was this big racist guy, and it was the worst. Dred Scott versus Sanford was the worst case that's ever happened in the entire history of
it was a dog shit opinion.
The United States.
Next, right up there with Plessy.
Roger B. Taney had already gotten rid of all of his inherited slaves, so he is not racist. He's just going based off the Constitution. So that case really, had a big stink to it.
Again, even if I were to grant you that Taney's interpretation was valid, even if I grant you that, again, it was thrown out by the wayside by the 14th Amendment passage. It's obvious. You can look to the speeches, the minutes from Congress, from the authors, they all say that persons under the 14th Amendment meant everybody, not just freed slaves, but everybody. Everybody has these protections.
To it, because we were already moving into the Civil War because of the whole slavery versus anti-slavery, North versus South. So after that point, obviously at that point, we have all the slaves at that point in time, and any of them that may have been emancipated or let go couldn't get citizenship, period, end of story. That was Dred Scott versus Sanford, right? So we move into the Civil War, and we're coming out of the Civil War, and now we have this new case trying to address the Dred Scott versus Sanford decision.
Oh my God. So... the slaughterhouse cases were okay. I'm trying to remember my old con law class. I'm getting a refresher here. The slaughterhouse cases basically denoted that the 14th Amendment of the Constitution only applied to only protected legal rights associated with federal U.S. citizenship and not state citizenship. The problem is that, and this was also a dog shit opinion. The problem is that since then, the Supreme Court has incorporated the various amendments to apply to the states. The 14th Amendment, the 14th Amendment, the 5th Amendment, 6th Amendment, the 8th Amendment, 13th Amendment, 15th Amendment, and First Amendment have all been incorporated to apply to the states. But then in 2010, the court, when it comes to the Second Amendment, the court, it was incorporated under the Due Process Clause of the 14th Amendment. So that's it. As far as I understand, the Seventh Amendment has not been incorporated. Seventh Amendment is the Seventh Amendment has not been incorporated. The Seventh Amendment applied to civil suits, the right to a grand jury in civil suits. So again, over time, Liz D, given the massively racist history of the U.S. and the way the Constitution was written, the 3/5 thing, can you really say it was constitutionally wrong? I even will, like I said, Liz, it could very well be that if we're going to apply an originalist interpretation, that Dred Scott was constitutionally valid at the time. But even if I were to grant that, again, at the end of the day, it was overturned by the 14th Amendment. Like, full stop. Dred Scott's no longer good law. Anybody trying to interpret it is an idiot. Oh yeah, I think the Third Amendment has not been incorporated, but yeah.
It's called the Slaughterhouse Cases. And this was this case finalized, and the final opinion was given on April 14th, 1873. And the final opinion was given by a man named Samuel Freeman Miller. Here's your boy, Samuel Freeman Miller, Samuel Freeman Miller had been working, he taught himself law while he was practicing medicine as a doctor, and he worked for, many, many years to get into the Supreme Court, and then he was in the Supreme Court for somewhere around, 10, 11 years before the slaughterhouse cases had actually happened. And he felt very strongly about freeing the slaves and had for a long time. So it makes sense that he was the one who was chosen to give the final opinion in the slaughterhouse cases, which we'll talk about right now. So Mr. Miller says, then all the, which I'm not going to say that word, you can read that one, because I'll get TikToked, whatever, race, who had recently been made free men, were still not only not citizens, but were incapable of becoming so by anything short of an amendment to the Constitution. To remove this difficulty primarily, and to establish a clear and comprehensive definition of citizenship, which should declare what should constitute citizenship of the United States, and also citizenship of a state, the first clause of the first section was framed. What are you talking about, first clause of the first section? He's talking about the first clause of the first section of the 14th Amendment. All persons.
Stop it.
Not people, persons.
See, so you see, again, Deacon, thank you for the $5. Please explain good law for educational purposes before you miseducate. So, again, we're, as with any sovereign citizen, bullshittery. He starts from a false premise, meaning that he's trying to make this bastardized interpretation of persons, relying on dead law, like the slaughterhouse cases and Dred Scott, to interpret persons as only meaning freed African slaves. It is desperately incorrect. Demonstrably incorrect through latter Supreme Court precedent. And I mean, the dissent. I mean, the dissent. The dissenting justices say this as much, that the majority in the slaughterhouse cases effectively almost neutered the 14th Amendment, and that ultimately the Privileges and Immunities Clause incorporated the Bill of Rights as being applicable to the individual states.
Born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States, blah, 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 blah. What are they talking about? Not white people. Continuing on in Slaughterhouse, the first observation we have to make...
I like how... So the problem with this asinine interpretation is that this guy... This guy seems to live in opposite world where it doesn't... So the 14th Amendment doesn't apply to white people, but somehow that means that white people have more rights because they're not provided the protections under the 14th Amendment. It's so ridiculous.
On this clause is that it puts at rest both the questions which we stated to have been the subject of differences of opinion. It declares that persons may be citizens of the United States without regard to their citizenship of a particular state, and it overturns the Dred Scott decision by making all persons.
The opinion is directly stating that your definition of persons as you applied it in Dred Scott is incorrect. What?
Born in the United States and subject to its jurisdiction, citizens of the United States. Here's an important part. That its main purpose was to establish the citizenship of the beep.
It's saying that freed slaves, that the 14th Amendment's purpose was to bring freed slaves at the same level of the existing polity. You dumbass.
Can admit of no doubt. The phrase subject to its jurisdiction. Oh, I'm not going to get into that. That's a little bit, you can read that if you want, but that just explains that next part of the.
He doesn't want to talk about that because it contradicts his other bullshit part of the idea. So this guy also adheres to the whole diplomatic, I'm a resident alien, therefore I can't. Yeah, he doesn't like that section of the 14th Amendment.
The first clause. Then he goes on to say, it is that the distinction between citizenship of the United States and citizenship of a state is clearly recognized and established. Not only may a man be a citizen of the United States without being a citizen of a state, but an important element is necessary to convert the former into the latter, right? And then he goes on and on and on. It is quite clear then that there is a citizenship.
But why did you skip it? Why did you skip the next part? Again, him trying to rely on the slaughterhouse case. The slaughterhouse case isn't even supporting his definition of persons. Not only may a man be a citizen of the United States without being a citizen of a state, but an important element is necessary to convert the former into the latter. The problem, that's factually correct. If I'm living abroad, but I'm still a U.S. citizen. I'm a U.S. citizen, but without being a citizen of any state, because I'm currently living in abroad. That's factually correct, that you could be a U.S. citizen of the United States, but not one of the states. The next sentence that he skips over, he must reside within the state to make him a citizen of it, but it is only necessary that he should be born or naturalized in the United States to be a citizen of the Union. Again, factually correct. The problem is that the slaughterhouse cases makes so massive a distinction between a U.S. citizen and state citizen such that the 14th Amendment only applies to the federal and not the state. Meaning, the federal government cannot deprive you of your Bill of Rights, but the states can. Obviously, that's wrong, and that would ultimately be wrong. But this guy lives in opposite world where, yeah, moving on. Not Trogdor, thank you for the $5. Again, SovCit are like 500 others. They skip over the cards to show them to be wrong, and they can't handle the truth. True.
Of the United States and a citizenship of a state, which are distinct from each other and which depend upon different characteristics in the individual. This is crystal clear in a California Supreme Court case, Allen v. Valkenburg versus.
All right, so I'm going to let him read this, his interpretation of this California case, and then I'm going to correct him because he's full of shit.
Albert Brown. No white person born within the limits of the United States and subject to their jurisdiction, or born without those limits and subsequently naturalized under their laws, owes the status of citizenship to the recent amendments to the federal Constitution. The history and aim of the 14th Amendment is well known, and the purpose had in view in its adoption well understood. That purpose was to confer the status of citizenship upon a numerous, and then it goes on and on and on, class of persons who, talking about the release, slaves, basically. And you can look more about that and read that on this page if you want to see the rest of the quote. So basically, now we got this whole thing figured out.
You see what I'm saying when it comes to interpretation? And that these guys they don't know what they're talking about when they read these opinions. So, that case... Serrano, what are you doing, baby? So, that case was a California Supreme Court case, not a federal one. And the premise of it was a woman was trying to register to vote in California. And the Supreme Court, and she based her challenge to the law that women couldn't vote at the time under the 14th Amendment's due process clause. The court said that the purpose of the due process law, the purpose of the 14th Amendment was to confer citizenship to black slaves. This is true, but this guy is butchering the interpretation. They're saying, because ultimately the court said that the 14th Amendment did not abrogate the ability of the states to determine who can or can't vote within their jurisdiction. That's what it said. But the quote that he's citing, what they're saying is that it's not that the 14th Amendment doesn't apply. The 14th Amendment's due process protections doesn't necessarily apply to everybody. It's saying that white people, as defined back then, didn't get their citizenship under the 14th Amendment. They've always had U.S. citizenship from the very beginning. The 14th Amendment's purpose was to grant that same citizenship to freed slaves. But he's butchering the interpretation to say that only a black person or non-white person can be a U.S. citizen and not white people. But that's not what the court is saying at all. The court's saying the white people at the time, they didn't need a 14th Amendment. They've always been citizens. The purpose of the 14th Amendment was to make African Americans also citizens.
There's this U.S. citizen class, and then there's a state citizen. State citizen is for white people. U.S. citizen was originally for the slaves.
Wrong. That's wrong. Dead wrong.
Of a certain color, which won't be said. And then, that kind of thing, right? So it's pretty racist in its most basic idea, right? So if we're looking at W-9 tax form, this is most of the time what you guys are filing when you go to get a job. You're signing under penalty of perjury, which is up to 1 year in prison, by the way. It is a felony. I am a U.S. citizen or other U.S. person defined below. Let's go take a look. So scrolling down on the W-9, we have here definition of a U.S. person. Number one, an individual who is a U.S. citizen or U.S. resident alien. So a U.S. citizen essentially is somebody whose citizenship lies with the District of Columbia, and it was specifically for the...
Wrong! Oh, he did the thing! He did the District of Columbia thing! Kill me!
Original slaves, and it's not for white people. And a U.S. resident alien is somebody who's not a U.S. citizen or a state citizen. They're here basically just residing as a foreigner. They have foreign allegiance, like a Brazilian or something like that. That would be a U.S. resident alien. Other things that this term U.S. person could include would be a partnership, corporation, company, or association created or organized in the United States or under the laws of the United States, an estate other than a foreign estate, a domestic trust. So as you can see, the bottom line on all this is you can't have a driver's license. You have to be a U.S. citizen or a resident. You have to prove residency to get a driver's license. And you can't pay taxes because you have to say under penalty of perjury that you're a U.S. citizen or...
Motherfucker. Sorry, I'm cursing. If you're a resident alien... You still have to get a driver's license. You still have to pay taxes here if you're working in the United States. Oh, God.
Or a resident alien in order to pay taxes. So for me, for example, as a white California citizen, if I filed a W-9 tax...
Oh, my God. Bro thinks he's exempt.
Or if I filed any taxes, I'd go to prison. And if I had a driver's license, I'd be going to prison. Pretty wild. If you'd like to see more information, please...
Yeah, pretty wild and also bullshit.
Please go to williamsandwilliamslawfirm.com, check out a treatise on the word person, and I hope you guys like this, and I'll see you later.
Kill me. Brian, thank you for the 16 months. I appreciate you, man. Okay. I'm not going to torture you guys anymore from that. It. Hold on. No, and people have ruined themselves by listening to this guy. That's the problem. Again, he's not sent anything. He's not responded. To me, the problem is the problem is I don't know if these are his genuine followers or these are his bots. But I've been getting a lot of comments on my videos saying, I can't wait for you to debate Brandon Joe Williams. Hey, when are you going to debate Brandon Joe Williams? Hey, have you responded to Brandon Joe Williams? And I've already said yes several times, but he's going to pretend that I backed out. He's going to pretend that I haven't responded to him. I already gave you guys the receipts. It's on my Discord. That I have responded to him. I've been trying to respond to him on both YouTube comments as well as in the Instagram DMs. He is full of shit, claiming that I blocked him. He's full of shit, claiming that I backed out of a debate. So, he is a liar. He is a scammer. And he's trying to placate, he's trying to save face for his audience, claiming that he knows more than us bar card members. So I want to make sure that he doesn't get away with making stupid comments that I am backing out of any debate or discussion. Deacon, thank you for the $20 super chat. I already much love, sir, and I'll speak my piece. I do not think it's necessary to give this guy any clout with a debate. It sounds pointless and a waste of time. Who cares what they think? You're a lawyer. I mean, fair. I mean, I get what you're saying, but I mean, it's good entertainment. It's good content, and you know how YouTube's all about the content. So that's why I'm willing to entertain his BS. For the content. For the memes. Alright, we can watch Van's latest one. Oh, wait, no. No, I don't want to. It's in Texas, so I'm going to stay away from that. Hey, Artie, thanks for the review project. You're an IRS auditor. His videos is going. He's going to convict himself. Nice. Can we look up Matisse Academy next? I've never heard of Matisse Academy. What's that all about? No, Jake, I'm not doing the airport stuff. I'm not doing any more body cam, like, and no more non-SovCit related body cam videos. I'm being more judicious in that. So, most of my content is now is primarily going to be SovCit related. So. Matisse Academy. What in the world is this? Oh no. Oh no. No, 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 no. Nope. Nope, 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 nope. I don't have enough alcohol to deal with that right now. um No, I don't think I could do that. Okay. I think this is where we're going to leave it. I'm going to keep the focus purely on this guy. If he ever responds to me, I doubt it. I'll let you guys know. Am I sure I'm not ghosting Brian? Born to be free. I promise you, I am not ghosting him. I posted the screenshot of my message to him on Instagram, responding to him. As far as I see, he has not opened up since, so he has not seen my message to him. I also sent another one during the live stream saying, "Hey, I'm here. What's going on?" So I assure you, I am not ghosting him. I have sent him a direct message saying, I am saying, yes, we can discuss our plan to debate. All right. No, Kuma King, I don't think Brandon is, I don't believe Brandon is born to be free. I don't think that at all. Born to be free and I have been going back and forth via email. He's been sending me his evidence that this sovereignty thing works, and I've been responding to him. But he's been respectful. I've been respectful, and we keep it that way. Okay, I think we're going to call it here. I actually haven't had dinner yet, so I'm going to figure that out. But I appreciate you guys coming in. In terms of what I'm streaming next, it's kind of up in the air. We'll see. Maybe tomorrow. Maybe not. We'll see. But keep in touch. Hit that. Check out my Discord. That's where you'll get the. Yeah, I bet you are, Omega. That's where you'll get the latest updates on the channel, where we're going, when I'm going live, all that good jazz. So, all right. Take care, guys. Have a good night. See you next time. And yeah. Deuces. Yeah. Oh, God. Cringe. Killed me. All right. Bye, guys.